There are 10 things that you should know when you're planning for your retirement. Each week we're sharing a new tip with you. So today we're joined by Dylan Bond. He's the owner of Bond Financial Services. He's here to explain part 6 on planning your retirement. Dylan, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Great to be here.
So every week we go through another point in planning your retirement. This is about transitioning your goals this week.
Right. One of the things that that we see a lot. I work with a lot of people that are transitioning from the working years into the retirement years. That they don't take enough active management in their 401ks and their investment accounts as they get later in life, going towards retirement. And they fail to see that as they get older and they're getting closer to that retirement time, they really can't afford to take the risk they did when they were 30.
Exactly.
So ultimately, what we're trying to bring awareness to right now, in being with the market approaching new highs, is this is a good time to review what you're doing now, and where you are in life and what your future plans are. And if you need to restructure some of your portfolio and get more in line with what your timeline is, it's a good time to do so.
Now you have this great graphic that you sent. It's a kind of shoots and ladder. It's the roller coaster of your financial life, and so we can look at that. But it's basically saying that when it's high, sometimes you don't want to. When it's high, you don't necessarily want to sell in your mindset, but maybe it's the best time to sell.
Well, what this graphic shows, and we use this in our seminars that we do on a weekly basis. It shows the emotional decision-making process that most investors make. And ultimately what you'll see is as the market goes up, people start to feel positive, they feel confident, they're thrilled and excited, and by the time it's at the top and they feel euphoric, that's when most individual investors start to invest in the market. And then when the market turns down and makes a correction, they start to feel concerned, they feel nervous and panic-stricken. By the time the market gets down to where its low point is, basically that's when they can't take it anymore and they tend to sell out.
But that's arguably the worst thing you can do, because the old adage is you buy low and you sell high.
Exactly. So you know, back in 2008 when the S&P 500 was down for the year about 37%, I had a lot of people coming in wanting to make changes, and I had to, at that point in time, tell them, look, I would love to work with you and help you, but right now is not the right time to make any changes. You need to let that recover a little bit before you restructure your portfolio.
Another thing to think about before you restructure, when you restructure, there's a lot of rules that you use and utilize in your business, but one that's kind of easy for all of us to take home with us is the rule of 100.
Yeah, the rule of 100, it's a rule of thumb. By no means is it a law. And basically what it says is if you take your age and subtract it from the number 100, what number you're left with should be about the percentage of your overall portfolio that has some risk exposed to it. Okay, so if you're 60 and you take 60 from 100, about 40% as a rule of thumb should be allocated towards some risk for future growth and to keep pace with inflation. Meanwhile, if you're 30, 70% of your portfolio can be allocated to a little bit more risk for long-term growth. And the major difference is time. A 30-year-old has 30 plus years before retirement. A 60-year-old might have 3 or 4 to 5 years before retirement, so they can't afford to take as much risk. Exactly. I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
That if you're 60 years old and you don't want any of your money at risk, then that's okay. You can do things with your money to make sure that that's going to meet your objectives. If you're 60 years old and you want all of your money at risk, that's okay too, as long as you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And that's why you talk to someone like you, because there are risks, and as long as you are aware of them, you can make whatever decision you want, but you just tell people the potential pitfalls and the perks of doing what they're doing.
Yeah, the bottom line is the first meeting I have with anybody is always going to be with a pen and a pad, and we're going to get to know who we're talking to. We're going to get to know how they think, what they're doing, what their focus is on the future, and then once we understand who we're dealing with, I can then put myself in their shoes, knowing what I know, and then tell them things that they might have overlooked or things that I might consider doing differently. And we'll do that over a series of meetings so that it's not overwhelming and it's something that they can digest in little bits and pieces.
And because risk tolerance has changed and because the market's changed, you also meet with people every year, too, just to make sure everything's on the up and up, and that you're really motivating and changing your life to what you need it to be.
Yeah, as a minimum, we do annual reviews, and the reason we do that is life changes. You know, we have clients that come in a year later and they've decided they're going to move to South Carolina. They decided they're going to get married again and tour the world in a sailboat. I mean, different things happen, so we want to make sure we're in touch with our clients at least once a year. Sometimes it's 4 times a year, depending on who we're dealing with, just to make sure that we're not missing out on anything that's happening in their lives.
Now, people see you every Wednesday on our show, but they can also see you coming up doing some of your seminars at Leone's.
Yeah, we do a weekly seminar in the area. We do this upcoming week. Tonight we have one at Leone's, which is full already, but we have one next Wednesday at Leone's that there's still some availability. Best thing to do is call George at our office. He has the schedule for the seminars coming up over the next couple of weeks and the availability. It is by invitation only or in reservation only, so seating is limited, so we encourage people to call George at the office. You know, they're geared towards people 50 and older, and we welcome couples, and if you want to bring a friend or another couple that you know that might have some questions, the more the merrier.
Exactly. Well, Dylan, thank you so much for stopping by today.
You.
And you can visit bondfinancialservices.net, or you can call them 754-4747 and let Dylan and his staff take the steps to secure your financial future.